Hey, good morning. I wanted to go live with you and share an experience. Man, we had an older horse. We haven't rode her in a couple of years, and she's blind completely in one eye, and another one is just about there as well. Anyways, we had her put down, right? And because the pain she was having a lot of pain, it was not manageable, and plus with the blindness, so it was just time for the horse to be put down. We did that humanely. We had a veterinarian put her down, okay? That's not what I'm doing this live about. We took each one of the horses. Well, I have two horses. I have her baby that's a year and 8 months old. And then I have my mule. And I took them each down. I would highly recommend doing that. If you have horses and you have to put one down, because before we let them go and, be around the body and stuff like that, they were at the corner, and they were like the corner of the pasture, and they couldn't see what we're doing, and they're like calling out for her and stuff. And so, but after we did, the two boys went back to their hay bale, and then the two females that we have, one of them being the filly of the mare that we had to put down, nobody's calling out. And the older mare has gotten behind that little filly and pushed her to go away from the corner of the pasture where she's like looking for the other horse. It's just a good reminder that, man, these horses mean so much to us. And if you have to have one put down, I would just highly recommend letting the other herd mates say their final goodbyes, because they processed it. 3 of the 4 horses, not the baby, because the baby doesn't know what the heck's going on, right? And actually, the baby was bigger than her mother at a year and 8 months, and she's going to give me a run for my money. But they put their nose to her nose, and then 2 of my animals put their nose to where her heart is. You know that? So whenever people say that horses don't know, or that animals don't know, yes, they do. So, and then I will tell you the amount of guilt that I have, but I know that it was needed, and it was a nice thing to do. I was looking for tissue. It's the final form of love, is to let them go. But, and I didn't even like this horse. This horse was so difficult. She was such a difficult horse, but still, whenever we get an animal, we're with it. Like, it is part of our family. And that old horse made milk every day of her life that we had her. And she would always try to steal all the other people's babies. Like, it didn't matter if it was like a puppy or a kitten or a little kid, or if somebody came here with like a little baby horse, she would try to steal it, okay? And we used her for this poor little orphan. It had lost its mother, this orphan horse. And she loved that baby, and that baby only lived for 10 days because it already had the odds stacked against it. But she tried. And so, we let her have a baby because, you know what? I was like, you know what? I want to do right by this old horse. It took us a couple of times to get her pregnant because she was older, but I knew that that's what she wanted. So, like, I gave her the gift of that. And that baby is pretty rough. That baby's going to be so much work for me. I mean, like, but then she's growing where, like, she'll run towards me now. That baby is beginning to, like, that baby knows that I am firm, but, like, there. Anyways, I just want to tell you that those horses do know. They do understand what's going on. So, you know, I write children's books, and each one of the books has a horse as the main character. Well, Peppercorn's book is not done, but her book, she was always kind of rough. And her book is about anger. You know, I write these books for children and for mental health. And her book is about how it's about anger displacement, because Peppercorn had had a broken jaw before us, and it was like, it was in the exact shape of a horseshoe. So some horse clocked her and freaking broke her jaw. Her hips were messed up, and she was kind of cranky. It took me 6 months of riding that horse before I could ride her out of the round pen because I was scared to death of her. Okay. And so, and then it just turned out it was all bark and no bite. So the only actual thing she did that was bad is one time my husband went to put a kid up on her for kids camp, little bitty kid, and she bit my husband right in the butt cheek. Okay. Because she was over it. Okay. There was a bunch of kids. She was over it. And then, she had gotten firm with me before, and we were doing some sorting, and she reared up and she went like this far off of the ground. And then I was like, got on to her about that, and she never did it again. But, she was always just farmer broke. You know, she wasn't like some fancy horse, but she was beautiful, and she was my husband's horse. I got her for him on his birthday in 2017. And then she was actually supposed to be put down on Monday, which was my husband's birthday. But whenever she was here, we haven't been handling her that much. And it was windy. And you know how, like, vets have a scent to them because they're around all sorts of livestock. And she was just not, she wouldn't let the vet get near her. So we had to schedule the vet to come back out again. And I gave her an oral sedative to help her, because like she's just leery of the vet and the way the vet smells. And the vet is like this little bitty petite lady. And then Peppercorn was just acting a fool. But anyways, if you have livestock and you have to put them down, especially horses, just give them that processing time. Give them that time. Let them say goodbye, because man, it wasn't even emotional until I seen my herd say their goodbyes and see my oldest horse. He checked her 3 times, you know. So, you know, people say that, like I'm considered a social media influencer, right? Because of all these followers and stuff. And I know a lot of people are saying that people are out of touch, and I'm like, no, I'm just brave enough to share my story. And my story today is about putting down an old horse, okay, that we haven't rode in years, and it still hurts. And it's about how animals have feelings and they process death also. So that's what I want you to get from me being a crybaby. I'm trying to stop crying. And I was trying to just be transactional. You know, I didn't cry around our vet, and then our vet cried. Even though that horse was difficult, just the process of it, you know. And she says, and I told her, I was like, you know, I feel so sorry for you for putting this onto you, you know, the vet. And she says, you know, it really is like a gift that she gives people, but it's hard on her. So, all right. That horse's book, I think, will help out a lot of people. with understanding anger displacement. And I think it'll be, at the end of the book, I will have her pass away, because children don't need to be shit, like not handle and stuff like that. Because like all children's books are like pretty rough on them, right? But like Bambi. But at her book, Peppercorn had like, it's about anger displacement. It's about how hurt people. But at the end, she's going to refuse to pass that down to her child. She's going to let it end with her. And then at the very end of the book, she knows that she's going to pass away. And she knows that she has a community to help raise her baby. And so I'm going to be that community. So anyways, all right. Well, I'm going to get off here because I got to blow my nose. And I've got some things to do today. And this was just like one of 3 meetings. So I've got to make sure and get myself in check, so I don't have all these emotions whenever I'm trying to deal with like my business stuff. But that is what we did today. And so, all right, I'll talk to y'all another day. Y'all have a great day. And I'm happy that we put down Peppercorn. I'm happy that she will be in my horse's pasture. I'm happy to have her baby that is a little hoodlum, and she's rough, and I'm going to make her into a champion. And, I'm happy that we got her. And I'll share some pictures on the ranch today if you want to see some really beautiful pictures of her. Without those polka dots, we would have not have got her, because my husband wanted a polka dotted horse. And I think that whenever I write that book about anger displacement, and for kids to understand while other kids are cranky and mean and bullies and rude, I think it's going to do a lot for mental health of children. But we had to go through that emotion for me to be able to write that book. And so that's where we're at. All right, y'all have a good day.